Roll.
Ingram. Locke.
Present.
Lockshin. Here. Michaels. Pugh. Rodriguez.
Here.
Rogers.
Present.
Sexton. Storr.
Present.
Straub. Here. Taylor.
Here.
Thorsland. Vantage Theranon. Here. Wilson.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Esri.
Here.
Furtado. Goss.
Here.
Hanauer Friedman.
Here.
Patterson.
Here, and we do have a quorum. Next on the agenda, we have approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion? Straub and Locke. Any suggestions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have the approval of the minutes of the June 13th, 2023 regular meeting. Do I have a motion? Carter and Lockshin. All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have public participation. I have Barbara Kessel.
I'll go after him.
Ron.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ron Kester. I live at 1209 West Oregon Street in Urbana. Good evening. This year, Massachusetts became the latest state to make phone calls to prisons free, following Connecticut, Colorado, California, and Minnesota. They all recognize that communications between incarcerated people and their support networks on the outside are vital to successful reentry and reintegration with civilian life. In addition, cities like New York, San Francisco, and Louisville, Kentucky have made phone calls to jails free, thereby removing the burden of exorbitant phone rates on incarcerated people and others who bear the cost. Those municipal governments recognize who they represent, families and their communities, not phone companies that seek to profit from vulnerable populations. As a longtime volunteer at the prison at Danville and at the satellite jail in Urbana, I witnessed firsthand the difference those lifelines make to the health and well-being of incarcerated people working through the system. I didn't need to ask whether those connections were present. You could tell who was getting phone calls and who wasn't, in the way the incarcerated people interacted and made choices, in the way they planned their day and talked about the future. Such an essential service should not be governed by household budgets and one's ability to pay. As a county, we should resolve to make phone calls to the jail free. When a person is detained by the state in our jail system, their innocence is presumed until guilt is proven. We should not let the stigma of jailing drive us away from this constitutional principle and the fairness it aims to ensure. Connections to the outside are very much a part of that. From a practical standpoint, we should acknowledge that the cost of those phone calls falls on the shoulders of the families, loved ones, and spiritual leaders who use the phone system to support those on the inside. When the county agrees to the terms and conditions of for-profit phone companies that charge outrageous fees, those who typically bear that cost have done no wrong and are often the people most in a position to do right. What does doing right mean in this case? I think it means we start with the assumption that all people in the jail, whether ultimately found guilty of the charges against them, will be returning to our community. Maybe in a week, maybe years later, they will return home. Given this reality, we serve no one by promoting or abiding practices that erode human support for people in the jail when they need that support the most. However strongly you feel about the issue, we can all agree that free phone calls to the jail would benefit incarcerated people and the community. So where does the county board stand on this debate? We all know the sheriff is now leading the effort to secure a new contract for phone service for the jail, but how much priority is being given to the potential for free phone calls as part of that new arrangement? Will the new phone system permit alternate billing systems? Will it incentivize a policy of free phone calls? Now is the time to be raising these issues. My concern is that we're confronting a crisis of authority. The county board supports the sheriff and his staff in running the jail the way they see fit, but the sheriff and his staff might call it overreach to institute free phone calls given the policy changes and possible changes to the budget that it would entail. I sincerely believe everyone is trying to do the right thing, but I can easily see how we won't get there. Seeing through this potential problem means confronting it directly by making free phone calls to the jail a priority for the county. I urge you to raise this issue among yourselves with a mind toward voting to formalize it as a priority alongside the county's other priorities. This issue serves all your constituencies and the long-term health of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Barbara Kessel.
I'm Barbara Kessel, and I live at 904B East Colorado in Urbana. I worked at the county jail. Not work isn't the right word. I volunteered for 15 years with the library and a men's movie group. So I'm well acquainted with the population there. And what Ron has said is true about the benefits for the population. It's also true that it's public safety plus. The more communication that prisoners have with their families and loved ones, the better their chances for not recidivating. It's also good for public safety inside the jail because people get quite frantic when they have no communication with the outside, and then they can make trouble on the inside. So it's a good thing all around. The sheriff agreed that it was a good thing with a meeting he had with some people. I wasn't one of them. But the RFP does not say anything about free phone calls. And I wanted to bring to your attention that there is a group that is going to respond to the RFP called Ameelio, A-M-E-E-L-I-O, and they are the only nonprofit in the whole field. They're relatively new, and they have contracts for the entire state of Iowa and for the entire state of Maine. In Illinois, they're only in juvenile detention centers, one of which is ours. Champaign County's Juvenile Detention Center has a contract with Ameelio for phone service. And a difference between Ameelio and Securus, which we have now, is that Ameelio works through tablets. And they have initially the prison or jail buys tablets for that enough to cover their population. These tablets, of course, do not connect with the internet. They're kind of prison tablets, but they are used for phone calls and they are used for video visits. So currently, trying to compare the Securus contract, which has been in effect for the last 5 years, and what Ameelio can do, the licensing fees for Securus is $66,750 annually, and for Ameelio it would be $50,000 annually, so that's somewhat less. But they cost $150,000 for tablets for 300 people, which is the projected maximum when the new jail is completed, the new addition. However, Securus, according to their contract, they charge $137,000 for video visit terminals, which you would not have to have if you had Ameelio. because they use the tablets for both phone calls and video visits. And their annual fee, $50,000 a year, covers 2 30-minute free phone calls a day for every prisoner in the jail. So I hope that you will consider that, think about it, talk to each other, and be ready as the RFP process goes on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other slips, we'll close public communication. Were there any board communications? Leah?
I just wanted to take this moment to wish our vice chair a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Samantha Carter. Thank you for joining us tonight on your birthday.
Thank you, Chairman. I have here in front of me a letter from Mahomet Seymour Community Schools. Is that better? Can you still hear me? Maybe it's, whatever. Right there's better, yeah. Okay, thanks. So on the letterhead of Dr. Kenny Lee, he's the superintendent at Mahomet Seymour Schools. It's dated for today. And here is how the letter reads. Dear County Board members, thank you for the opportunity to bring to your attention a matter that is currently affecting all of the taxing bodies that have a fiscal year ending in June. School districts received the last payments related to the 2022 tax levy in May and June. It is always important for us to receive these payments to ensure that our financial records are correct, especially at the state level. The state gives a financial designation to every school district, and it's a recognition, review, early warning, and watch. This designation affects the tax year's perception. This designation affects the taxpayer's perception of the district's ability to manage their finances and can affect even larger items such as bond issuances. With the current unaudited numbers, Mahomet Seymour CUSD number 3 will be downgraded this year from recognition to review because of the 2022 tax payments that were held back at the county level. The treasurer was contacted by the district and other taxing bodies in May to inquire when the 2 payments would be distributed. Only one person was designated for the region, that is to represent these schools, for school districts to follow up with the treasurer to hopefully reduce the calls and emails she would receive. She had mentioned how overwhelmed she was with them the previous year, so we tried to alleviate that for her. We were told that we would receive the May payment on May 28th and the new June payment on June 28th. She assured us that all of the county would be in the bank, our money would be in the bank before or by June 30th, 2023. We received the first part of our May payment on 5/29, then the remainder trickled in on 6/1 and 6/2. She told us that this was because Busey Bank had changed their procedures and would only process $900,000 increments at one time. We called Busey and found that that was incorrect. It was because she had processed them differently. She had done an overnight ACH and that none of their procedures changed. After that, we called her again to let her know that this was the case and that we could not have this happen in June. Once June ends, we can no longer post any payments into the 2022-2023 school year, and our financials would be inaccurate, or our financials would be accurate. When we received our June distribution, everyone would notice that we did not get as much as expected. After receiving the distribution sheet, we found that there was a large amount that was not distributed. You will see this under amount available. There is amount collected, amount previously distributed, amount distributed, and the less amount available. If you do the calculation, the amount collected minus both amounts distributed equals the amount available. If you look at just these three districts, the amount not distributed to Mahomet Seymour was 147,229, or that's $1.5 million. The amount was not distributed for Urbana Schools, $3.3 million, and the amount not distributed to Champaign Schools was $10.3 million. As you can imagine, there are significant amounts based on the size of each district. In a recent article in News Gazette, the treasurer stated that this happened because there was a large number of NSF, non-sufficient fund checks, than normal, so she had to hold back more of the funding available. With an extremely low uncollectible rate in the past, we have difficulty believing that this information is accurate. The fiscal year has ended, so there is nothing we can do for fiscal year 2023. We will just have to explain the situation to the in their profile report. That's their profile report they send to the state, by the way. We just want to make sure that this does not happen in the future. State statute is that the taxing districts should receive all of their money collected within 30 days. None of us have received these funds as of August 15th, 2023. Signed, Heather Smith, Mahomet Seymour, CSBO. End of my letter, end of their letter.
Thank you. Mr. Goss?
Yeah, I'm going to leave an opportunity here for the treasurer to actually come to the meeting. I asked her to come tonight. So if we get to the treasurer's part of the meeting, I'd like to have an opportunity to speak towards this. So I'm not gonna speak now, but I wanted to let you know that we get to the treasurer's part of the meeting. I want to have a discussion about this because I think this is there's a lot of problems here.
All right, thank you. And the treasurer could not be here tonight. She did say she will be at next week's full board. Anybody else for communications? Oh, I have one. The photographer will be here at 5:30 on September 12th before the cow to take headshots of the new county board members in a group photo. So, dress nice. All right, next we have policy, personnel, and appointments. Chris?
Thank you, Chair Patterson. Monthly HR report is supposed to be distributed. I don't see it, but I'm sure it'll be available relatively soon. Under appointments and reappointments, we have 28 appointments, and I'd like to do this as an omnibus motion. Mr. Esri?
Yeah, I know we've been doing it this way in the past, but it's my opinion that we can do them omnibus by like the groupings, but when they're separate committees, separate dates, we need to break those out. So like it would be 2A is by itself, then the fire protection districts, then the cemetery associations, then the water district, developmental disabilities, then the drainage districts, and I believe that would end it. But it makes it, to me, it's cleaner to separate them out that way, especially since they are different types of districts, different beginning and ending dates. Thanks.
As you wish.
I don't know if that's cleaner. We also do have a long history of speaking up if we'd like a particular item excluded from an omnibus motion. I feel like this is a well-practiced habit that we have here, and one that would facilitate a
It's only.
what's that? A expedient meeting.
Thank you.
It's only within the last probably, I don't know, 3 years or so. I don't know how long that we've gone to doing it totally omnibus. It used to be, we'd break them out, and it's one meeting. The idea, most of these will go on consent, so we won't see them again at the regular meeting, for most likely. So I would still prefer that they be broken out. Thanks.
Chair Patterson.
I just wanted to say, I guess in my opinion, I don't think the process really is going to matter for this, and, you know, it's ultimately your decision.
Aaron, if we could pick that, assume that practice at a future meeting. It just happens that I have a travel that I'm trying to get to this evening. And if it would be agreeable for this one meeting, could we do this as an omnibus? Or are you pretty, if you're pretty stuck on it, we'll do it your way.
I'd prefer it be done, broke out.
As you like. Very good. Item 7.2A, resolution appointing Steve Mosier to Farmland Assessment Review Committee, term ending May 31st, 2027. Do I have a motion? Ms. Jen Locke. And second, Jamila Rogers. Discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. For fire protection districts, B and C, resolution appointing James Vicker to the Ogden Royal Fire Protection District and Chris Carr to the Scott Fire Protection District, both terms ending April 30th, 2026.
So moved. Locke.
Thank you, Jen. And secondly, Tom, thank you. I'm going to swap out. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. All in favor, any discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion for the Fire Protection District signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Resolution appointing Jerry for cemeteries, Jerry Seekander to the Cross Cemetery Association, Rachel Schroeder to the Bailey Memorial Cemetery Association, and Rod Maddock to the Mount Olive Cemetery Association, and James Prather to the Mount Olive Cemetery Association, all terms ending June 30th, 2029. Motion by Aaron Esri, second by Samantha Carter. Discussion of the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. It's a bad day for me. Thank you. Resolution for appointing Robert Kettner to the Penfield Water District, term ending May 31st, 2028. Jen Straub and Beth Vinich there or not? Thank you. All in favor, any discussion of the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Resolution appointing Dr. Susan Fowler to the Developmental Disabilities Board, term ending June 30th, 2026. Ted Sexton and Beth Vinich, they're not. Discussion of the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Okay, we have 17 appointments to drainage districts that we'll take as an omnibus, if that's agreeable. All of these are from the term September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2026. Steve Hamill to the Beaver Lake Drainage District, Douglas Zare to the Blackford Slough Drainage District, Robert Barker to the Fountainhead Drainage District, Patrick Feeney to the Kankakee Drainage District, Leon Seaburns to the Kerr and Compromise Drainage District, Norm Yukon to the Long Branch Mutual Drainage District, Larry Dallas to the Aw Drainage District, Leonard Delaney to the Owl Creek Drainage District, Chris Howman to the Pasodum Consolidated Drainage District, Trent Wolken to the Prairie Creek Drainage District, Stephen Osterberg to the Raup Drainage District, Cecil Hudson to the Silver Creek Drainage District, Chris Connerty to the Somer No. 1 Drainage District, Josh Daly to the St. Joseph No. 3 Drainage District, Bruce Stickers to the St. Joseph No. 6 Drainage District, Mark Douglas to the Union Drainage District No. 1 of Philo and Urbana, Trent Wolken to the West Branch Drainage District, and, did I miss? I'm sorry. Thank you. Dwight Robb to the Union Drainage District No. 2. Resolution appointing Trent Wolken to the West Branch Drainage District, Stephen Maddock to the Willow Branch Drainage District. Do we have Aaron? And we'll take Jim this time because he didn't get the second previously. Discussion of the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion carries unanimously. There's a list of current vacant appointments on the website. And let's see, next item is number 3, recommendation to county board for an update for the GIS technician position description in the GIS department. I think something like this has been before the board before. Is there a motion to, I don't know if do we need a motion for this since it's a review, and I guess since it's a recommendation, we ought to have a motion. Okay, is there a motion for this review and recommend? Ms. Lorraine Cowart, thank you. Second by Dr. Stephanie Furtado, thank you. Discussion of the recommendation. I've read this, and with the little experience that I have in the field, it seems reasonable to me. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. The county clerk submits monthly fees and reports they're in the packet. Number C, Board of Review, request for approval for travel reimbursement after 60 days for Chris Diana from the Board of Review. Do I have a motion? Aaron Esri, second by, or let's do motion by Beth Vinich there or not. because she didn't get to do a motion. And then second by Aaron. Discussion? My goodness. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. I don't have any other business. Nobody else has any. Okay. And I don't have a chair's report, so the items to be placed on the consent agenda would be under 7, 2, all A through double B, 3, and C, item C. All go on the consent agenda. With that, I think that concludes the business under this committee. Chair Patterson?
Thanks. I guess just for the record, it's 7A to A through double B. If you got the first A. Next, we have finance.
All right, Finance, Budget Amendment BUA 2023-7286, Fund 2120, Highway IDOT Rebuild Grant, Department 060 Highway, increased appropriations $585,836, increased revenue 0. Reason, the Illinois Department of Transportation has encouraged agencies to expend the rebuild grant as quickly as possible, and the Highway Department would like to expend the remaining fund balance in fiscal year 2023. Do I have a motion? Ms. Court. Second, Ms. Carter. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Budget BUA 2023-7310, Fund 1080, General Corporate Department 127, Veterans Assistance Commission, increased appropriation $5,500, increased revenue $5,500, receipt of donations to be used for about $1,500 in training and travel costs, and $4,000 for additional rental assistance for clients. Do I have a motion? Beth first, Mr. Esri second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Budget Amendment BUA 2023-7650, Fund 6476, Self-Funded Insurance, Department 118, Property Liability Insurance, increased appropriations $203,500, increased revenue 0. Reason, current appropriation is insufficient to cover the financial liability of a settlement authority approved by the litigation committee. Do I have a motion? Jen and Mr. Goss second. Okay. Discussion? I'm sorry, there's a lot of Jens. Jen Straub. I'm coming for you next, Jenny. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? BUA 2023-7660, Fund 2089, County Public Health Fund, Department 018, CU Public Health District, increased appropriation $16,966, increased revenue $16,966. The actual property tax levy split for CU PhD was higher than the estimated levy split, requiring an increase in appropriations to distribute the pass-through funds. Do I have a motion? Ms. Lakshin, Ms. Vanishirnak, second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Budget Amendment BUA 2023-868, Fund 1080, General Corporate, Department 031, Circuit Clerk Court, increased appropriations $10,202.80, increased revenue $10,202.80. Reason, the reimbursement from State of Illinois for certified interpreter fees paid in the last year, and request to increase the current year appropriation. Do I have a motion? Ms. Carter, second. Jen Flock, sorry, brain froze there for a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Budget transfer BUA 2023-7131, Fund 1080 General Corporate, Department 036 Public Defender, amount 6,000, reason to cover interpretation services and transcript costs for the remainder of fiscal year 2023. Do I have a motion? So move Rogers, second Carter. Discussion, I will mention the public defender is here. Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Budget transfer BUA 2023-7674, Fund 1080 General Corporate, Department 040 Sheriff, 140 Correctional Center, and 075 General County, amount $622,261. Reason transfer from the General County to the Sheriff's budget required to cover the FOP contract negotiations. Do I have a motion? Mr. Esri, second. Ellie. Henauer Freeman. Any discussion? I do have one question. Have there been any movement on the sergeants' negotiations?
I talked to Shannon today, and there has been no change as of today.
Okay, so just so we're clear, we are voting for the appropriation for both the settled contracts and the authority that the Labor Committee granted for the one remaining unsettled contract. So just so that everybody's clear on what we're granting, that this would cover all of them, even though that we do have one contract that remains not fully negotiated. I just want everybody to understand what they're voting for. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Treasurer, I believe Mr. Goss you wanted to speak during this portion?
If you want to do it here or do it in other business, it's up to you.
Well, we're under treasurer, so let's do it under treasurer.
Okay. Yeah, the biggest thing is, the treasurer's had several conversations with me about the importance of the May and June distributions, specifically for every school district in this county. And then I traveled last weekend and see that she reports in the paper that it had to do with NSF checks on commercial accounts. Sorry, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying why you withheld another 5% more than normal. I mean, the withhold amount on these school districts is a huge amount. It's a big number. And that, if you want to withhold after June 30th. Because they're rated, their bonds are rated on the end of June. And we've had this discussion numerous times. And the fact that there's something going on here, I'd like to know the answer, because it's not NSF checks. Because the NSF checks on commercial accounts are going to be a day or two. They're not going to screw up your tax collections. The taxes were due on the 5th of June. You're going to know that they're NSF. If you're getting those, you're not going to wait to cash checks over $100,000. I hope we're not waiting till the end of the month and realize, oh my gosh, we've got NSF checks. We better know that. We ought to know that. And I think we've got a lack of urgency, a lack of competency on this. This is ridiculous. This is not a new problem. We had this problem with Laurel Pressing. We had it with Marisol Hughes. I had specific discussions for the last 2 years with Treasurer Johnson. She knows this is so important for these districts. And it means a lot to the taxpayers. Yeah, the school districts, they have to deal with it and they have to explain it in their audits. But you get school board elections, this comes up like the school board members have misallocated money, or why are we financial review instead of recognition? Why are we financial watch instead of review? It's a big deal to these small districts. It's a huge, I can't imagine that Champaign Unit 4 is not upset about being $10 million short. I can't imagine that Urbana's not ticked about being $3 million short. It's a big deal. And I requested, I was traveling, so I didn't get back. I requested that treasurer be here this evening to explain this. But I want an actual explanation that's not some BS that gets reported in the News Gazette. So I hope that she shows up here at the county board meeting so we can have this discussion and we can get some clarity. Because I hope at this point she understands the peril that she puts these businesses or these taxing districts in on June 30th by not making the correct distributions. Excuses, I'm tired of them. She's not new. This is not a one-time problem. This cannot continue to occur.
Mr. Wilson, or did you, Ms. Carter, did you have your hand raised? All right, well, Ms. Carter and then Mr. Wilson.
I just wanted to ask a question because I'm new to the board. What was the previous reasons that this is happening? If you can explain to me, please.
Oh, a myriad of excuses. I mean, it was truly that. First, with Treasurer Pressing, I think it was DevNet's fault and we just switched software. It just didn't happen. Treasurer Hughes was, I'm cleaning up Treasurer Pressing's mess. I mean, it just cannot happen. And this is not, Treasurer Johnson's not new to the position. And this cannot happen, and she knows that. We've had the discussion. I've personally had the discussion with her. I did not have it this year because I didn't assume it was an issue. My fault, I didn't assume it. But again, we're talking about a treasurer that's not brand new. You might have this discussion with somebody that was just elected last November, but that's not been the case. So that's my issue.
Mr. Wilson.
Oh, thank you. I'm new to the board too, also new to county finances. My experience with county finances is I pay my taxes for my property tax. That's about it. And you know, for whatever my modest home is and the taxes that I pay every year, I'm assuming that that money gets sent and then gets used appropriately and distributed appropriately. But I think the last couple of weeks have been a rude awakening to me. Mohammed Seymour School Board reached out to me, the superintendent reached out to me, CFO reached out to me. And I mean, the adverse circumstances for them is it does affect their cash flow and it does affect their rating with the state board for the report card. So now they've got an extra demerit on their, as far as their financial accountability to the state. So I said, okay, I'm going to learn more stuff. I read the newspaper article and I read about the Muhammad Library not getting $80,000. Well, if a library doesn't get $8,000, then that probably affects them. I said, well, man, who else does it affect? So since I live in County Board number 1, I thought, well, how many people, how many taxing districts, entities are affected in County Board number 1? So if you read the paper, and I also read the report, I actually read the treasurer's report. So there's 508 taxing bodies, right? And at least to my knowledge, I didn't know there was, that's a lot. But anyway, I didn't realize 508, but a lot of those taxing bodies happen to be drainage districts, which are not affected at this moment in time. Then I thought, well, what does the law say? There's a law for this, right? So the law says that the treasurer has 30 days, that's it, period, to send the money back to the taxing district. So in Muhammad, I mean, not Muhammad, but in County Board District 1, there are 6 school districts, 6 TIF districts. There's 4 villages. There's 4 fire protection districts. There is a library, and there's the 7 townships and the 7 road and bridge associated with the township. Every single one of those 36 lost 15%. They were expecting 15% of their money to show up, and it's not showing up. So for my tiny little district, well, there's, 19,000 people that vote there, but there's 19,000 people that live there, they don't all vote, but that's $3.3 million. $3.3 million is a big impact, at least to the district that Jim and I live in. I just can't imagine Champaign County Unit School District 4, of which a tiny portion is really in District 1, not getting $10 million. That's a huge hit. We would expect, and I would expect, and you would expect, we all would expect, that our elected officials, our government officials would do their job, but not only do their job, but do their job with excellence and do it correctly and timely. So I don't know what we can do about it because I don't think we have oversight over that, but I do want to just mention that if I missed my mortgage payment, I would be in trouble. And so I think that we just need to be noticed and notified that this is affecting our community. That's the end of my statement. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? I think as finance chair, in order to ensure that we have adequate time to discuss this at the full board meeting, and the treasurer did send her apologies that she was not able to be here tonight, but had said that she could be at the full board meeting. What, can we just put this formally on the agenda as a discussion item for the full board meeting? That way we won't have to try to figure out what space to have it discussed. The auditor's reports are up. The auditor has checked in with the finance committee and says that the audit is moving apace. Just to kind of let you all know about that. The county clerk, a resolution authorizing an acceptance agreement between Champaign County and the Illinois Board of Elections for voter registration state grant 2024. Do I have a motion? Ms. Lokshin, Ms. Vanisher, not second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Circuit Clerk, Circuit Court, adoption of resolution number 2023-157, authorizing award of contract to case management system consultant pursuant to an RFQ 2023-03. You have a copy of the RFQ on your table. Do I have a discussion? Or do I have a motion? I guess would probably be a better way to put it. We're going to go with Locke and Straub. Discussion. I wanted to mention, this is basically, we have members of the circuit clerk's office here. This has been Mr. Goss. Now, I was going to say, this has been a long-standing issue that we've been kind of kicking the can down the road. For those of you who are aware, when we did our IT 10-year plan, this was a big potential $15 mystery, $8 to $15 million that we didn't know how much this was going to cost. What this is the first step. It is essentially letting us do an assessment to figure out what we need to do with the system. And then it would be up to this board to figure out, based on those recommendations, what we do, how we finance it, how we proceed. So this has been out there. We've known it's been out there. Every year we've thought about doing this study, but we've had so much other stuff going on within the county. So we're finally getting to the study. And then sometime in 2024, we'll have the answer to the study, hopefully going into the 2024 budget, so we could start making some coherent life decisions about what we're going to do with the software system over at the court. Mr. Goss.
Yeah, if the clerk could, circuit clerk or whoever wants to speak to this could come forward. Help me out here. How many bids were received on this? Four. What was the range of bids?
Price-wise?
Yeah.
I think
the lowest bid was $153,000. The highest bid was $350,000. Needless to say, the highest bid was immediately eliminated. It was just too much.
Is this low bid or are we somewhere in the middle?
It's in the middle.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I didn't, there was nothing intended. I just didn't see that, so.
Sorry.
So thank you, ladies, for making the right decision with price.
Yeah, we did discuss that a little bit at finance agenda. Anything else? Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Other business? Cheers report, I just wanted to indicate that on, one second, August 28th, 29th, and 30th. Yes, you heard that right. We're doing 3 days of budget hearings because I know how much you all love them. It's going to be a little bit different this time. Each division or department head is going to be presenting their budget. So we'll have an opportunity to interact with them. Obviously, stopgapped by the admin staff who can help answer, financial type of questions. So come prepared to ask questions. Try to keep them focused on budgetary issues or operational issues that have to do with the budget. Just because we put it on 3 nights doesn't mean we want to be here for, into the wee hours of all of those nights. But I've heard from a lot of both the various elected officials and department heads and the board that everybody seemed like they wanted more engagement and more an opportunity to have back and forth. So this is working with the admin staff. Thank you for this. Is the plan we came up with. We'll see how it goes. If it's terrible, we could always go back to how we've done it in the past. In order to accommodate that, and we should be getting our budget books at the full board meeting. So for those of you who are new, don't ride your bicycle to the full board meeting. You're going to get these giant binders, right? And then you go through the binders and before the budget, and then if you have any questions, they'll come and have little PowerPoints and tell you what's in their budgets. Are we all good? Okay, items for the consent agenda, 8A 1 through 7, D1 and E1.
All right, next we have Justice and Social Services.
Thank you, Kyle. If we get through this in 6 minutes, we will only have taken an hour tonight, which is awesome. Just FYI. First on the agenda for Justice and Social Services is we have the monthly reports that are available on each department's webpage through the county board webpage. Probation and court services for May 2023, June 2023, and the second quarter statistics are on file. The public defender for June and July 2023, animal control May of 2023, and emergency management agency June and July of 2023. Item B, we have the Rosecrans Reentry Financial Report May and June 2023. This is information only. I do not have any other business. Does anybody else have any other business for me? No, there's no chair's report, and there's no designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda. Back to you, Chair Patterson.
Seeing no other business, call this meeting adjourned.